Can you hear me okay, Susan? Susan, can you hear me? Susan, can you hear me? I see my mic is off, but don't see that you're responding to me. Oh, I can hear you. I think you can hear me. It sounds like you maybe can. Hmm. Can you hear me?
Can anyone hear me or anyone else?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. I was like, I see talking, but I'm not hearing anything.
Prakash and I are trying. Prakash and I are trying to do the dance of both being here in the same conference room and making sure we don't have bad echo. I think we're good now, though. I think it's just my laptop for now.
The mute dance.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we're right now. The only problem who's not all right is Susan, is we can't hear her, and I don't think she can hear us at all. So yeah, you could just join us. I don't know. Maybe Akash can share his screen, we'll leave or something. I don't know. Yeah. Do you want to just like Susan, like just leave and leave your thing on and maybe turn off your video and just come over here?
Hi, Teja.
Hi, hello. Yeah, I have been in India for over 2 months. So that's why I've been missing these meetings. How are you all doing?
Akash, the host.
Well,
Hello. I think we've got 5 minutes past the hour, but I think it's just Susan. Just join us here. We can get going. So I know I don't have to pull up the HackMD, but I know one of the items is talking about the work that Akash has done. So yeah, Susan's here with us. You can't see because we don't have the room camera going on, but it's all good. Like, yeah. Yeah.
I see Teja is on the call today.
Yeah.
Hello, Teja. Hello. Good to see you.
Hello.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Yeah. I was just telling, like, I have been in India for over 2 months for an emergency situation. That's why I have been missing these meetings. Nice to see you all.
Welcome back.
Welcome
Yeah,
back.
thank you.
Okay.
Actually, we want to go through our
Yeah.
KPI. Because, I had a question about why the end-to-end test is not running.
Yeah, so I can, so in the actual build settings, because we switched the name of the test, like the name in the test, because we updated the versions is there. So the way that the trigger works is it triggers upon PR. And so it already ran. So there's nothing triggering the new build. And because we don't have that on workflow command in the YAML file, we can't just go like execute it. So that's why we're in this weird kind of like stuck state here. And so that's why I was saying for these PRs, and because we know that 123.6 passed and it's such a minor change, and we did update the version of Go to 119 from 118. I mean, I doubt that's gonna fail anything. And so, oh, you know what? I actually I think that you probably just don't have permission. So I have the ability to override that. So I can just merge it. I didn't realize you didn't have permission to do that. So I can just do that. Yeah. So I think just the ones that we're going to merge are actually three of them. Just we're not going to merge the Microsoft Authentication one. Right. And so I can share my screen if we want, but or I can just merge them and we can move on. I mean, I think it's really take time for it, but I didn't do it because I didn't know you didn't have access. I can just go ahead and do it though. Right now.
Right. I think to update the previous validation for the
Okay. Cool. Next.
Yes, I can talk a little bit about some of the work I've been doing. So I picked up the Go routines work for the core execution flow. So basically allowing us to add Go routines to the different, actual HTTP server subject handler, so that we can verify multiple subjects in parallel. And then also going into the Aura store and adding some locking mechanisms for our auth cache. So switching from a regular Go map to a sync map, which will allow for a locking on write. And then also adding another cache for our another lock for our local Aura's cache, so that when you push that local store cache, you aren't going to have issues if you have multiple routines trying to do the same thing at once. And then also adding Go routines at the refer store as well as at the artifact level. So if there are multiple refer stores, we can create a routine for each of those sub execution loops. And then if we have, once we get our list of refers back from registry for each of those artifacts, we're verifying those artifacts in parallel. So that's kind of all the work that is going to be required. That's as far as I can do right now. Right now I have a PR that is a work in progress. I've added the Go routines for multiple subjects. So right now we can validate multiple subjects at once. Also added the locking mechanisms with store as well as the auth cache. And I am in the process of adding the routines for the store, the refer store, as well as the multiple artifacts at once. I'm also trying to kind of stress test and break it. So I have a couple images with about 150 signatures attached to them. And I'm trying to see if we can kind of hit that how it's gonna affect the timing limit and what else is gonna break and stuff. This could give us a better sense of where we're at. Yeah, that's it.
So,
Go ahead. Eric.
so you're, so this is, you said this is Go routines at all the levels, like in the HTTP handler and in the executor?
Yeah, so it's at 3 different levels. It's at the handler. So the handler is in charge of kicking off the executor's verify subject flow per subject that's in the request. So add routines there. And then in the actual executor, there's a refer store loop. So right now we only have Aura, so it's not going to really do anything, but I added it there too. And then at each store level, we get the list of refers, and then for each refer, we're going to have a routine for the verification at that level. So 3 different levels.
So do we get throttled by the registry yet?
That's what I'm trying to do. I'm going to try to really hit the registry. My eventual goal is to try like 4 different images for 4 different subjects, up to like 200 signatures each one of them, and then we'll see what happens, because then we'll know where our gaps are. I don't know if it's a use case, but at least we'll know like where we stand.
So is that the only thing you're like kind of waiting on in terms of the whip, like versus putting it in ready to merge?
Yeah, so I mean, there's the routines. I'm not completely done with that, so I need to add like 1 more routine, and then I need to add some sort of testing for this. I'm trying to think of like how we could write a unit test for this. I'm not familiar yet. I have to look around to see how you would write unit tests
Okay.
for the routines.
Okay.
Yeah, Eric, if anyone else has like any suggestions for that, it's a little bit tricky. So yeah, that was happen too.
Okay.
And then, yeah, actually seeing if doing all of this parallelization actually helps with our doing stress.
Yeah, I would, on that last part, I would go back to the other team who's already doing that work.
Okay.
Yeah, so I would not put that as a gate for this, but yeah, unit test and obviously the other stuff, that makes sense. Yeah.
So I took a look at the other team that's doing that work, and they seem to be doing it at the gatekeeper level. So calling a dummy Ratify provider, and it's not really doing anything. So they're not actually like
Testing Ratify for
or
real.
Ratify for real. They're just like
Okay,
call to Ratify. They're setting some random like 7-second sleep time for Ratify's response, and then based off of that, they're doing the benchmark. They're not actually testing in terms of
okay. I think we should work with them though to see if we can make it more real in terms of the test with them, because they clearly do this regularly, and I'm just wondering if we can utilize that, what they're doing in a more realistic scenario to collaborate.
makes sense.
Well, we have like inside mechanism. Some, let's say this is having.
I think we might need to add it because you get like 429s and you know, that's something. That's another issue. This depends on like what the scenario is, like you're saying.
Right.
Is it gonna be like 200 and then we're gonna be really pounding the registry, and then at that point we gotta build in the exponential back off retry on the website.
Yeah, I would put that as a separate item. I mean, unless you really think you can whip that up real fast, but I don't think it's gonna be easy. Right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I could see the old, like, I don't think you'd have that many signatures. You're more likely to have pods that have probably like several images, each of them with maybe 1 or 2 signatures. But I think the more likely case is like if we like at some point, if we start to get into vuln scanning, like those will just start to grow unless we decide it's okay to purge them after some amount of time. But if we say, oh, we're not going to purge them, then those will just be an ever increasing list of artifacts. So that's a later thing, probably.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's the other thing. So, one change in ratified behavior that I want to discuss is that currently we have that whole short circuiting concept where if you set the policy to like any or to all, for example, and then you fail, because we're sequentially, checking, verifying the artifact. If you fail, then you can fail early. If we're gonna be doing this concurrently, then I don't know how much, like, does it make sense to even have like a short circuit, right? Because you can be verifying all the artifacts in parallel. You could, I mean, it could make sense if you're gonna have like certain operations that are gonna take longer than the other, and if one finishes before and it as a result short circuit, you can send a signal to the other routines to end early, but I don't know, like there's that extra work to add channels between different routines and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, if we're like in theory, you're still gonna block like with sufficient number of, if we assume a simple case where like maybe there's a dozen artifacts, sure, like letting them all complete is probably fine. In a more complex case where you have enough to get throttled by the registry, then canceling probably makes sense because you don't have to wait. So at least for now, probably leaving the short circuit like out is probably reasonable.
Yeah, sounds good to me too. So I'm just gonna leave it out for now. If it becomes an issue, then we can, file an issue and build it out.
Plus, I don't think if you do pass through, I think pass through explicitly
Yeah.
ignores the short circuit anyways. And if we're saying that's what we're going to ship as the default like behavior, then whatever.
Yeah, so it's so the odd one, we're switching to a sync map. So it's basically a type to go. It has built-in like mutex into the map object itself, so that it allows you to have multiple routines trying to write to the map. It's gonna allow for, has built-in lock. Because in the case where we inject, there's an error from one routine and then we add back another routine you have is causing the auth flow to trigger again, then you're going to have issues where you might have two different routines that are right for the same subject. It's possible. It's not likely, but it is possible. So I just went ahead and yes, yeah. So that's why it was just a quick swap for that. The other one, which is the locking for the Aura store, that's an actual mutex lock that we have to add in every push operation to the local registry, because the way it works is the blobs are basically downloaded and added to the OCI layout file structure that we have on the pod itself. So if two different pods, or let's say have different blobs in common, and they're both are downloading at once, then there's no error handling on the Aura side right now. So it will cause an OS file error in one routine. So that's why I have added a lot.
Any other feedback?
Awesome.
Hopefully I'll have some more numbers and test cases by next week.
Yeah, this week I'm going through the release validation, and when I installed Gatekeeper, I was running into this warning, so I just wanted to check with everyone. So I didn't understand what the version is. Yeah, like Gatekeeper, we're currently on. If you install the latest, it's version 3.9, right? And this version in this warning message is something like unavailable in 1.25.
Yeah, so this, I mean, this is somewhere from the Gatekeeper chart, and this would be something that would be handled in the upstream Gatekeeper chart. And it's only just because that in that chart, they're using the pod security policy, which is going to become unavailable in 125. So if we were using, for instance, a 125 cluster, then it would not work.
Is
But
that
that's
something
not-
we're using? That's security.
You likely are in via the gatekeeper chart. So like if we were to look at the gatekeeper chart, we would see that they're using pod security policy likely, right? So it's not on us to fix that. I wouldn't worry about it. But it also is something that I mean, we'd have to look at the gatekeeper chart, but they should be like fixing that. They should be, because there's a newer thing that replaces pod security policy.
Yeah, I wouldn't be
Got it. So-
surprised if it's,
I'm going by the gatekeeper.
Right.
Um,
Right, and it's not on us. So it would become a problem though, if a customer was wanting to deploy a 125 Kubernetes cluster. Then gatekeeper wouldn't work there.
yeah,
The chart wouldn't anyway. But we actually AKS at least anyways doesn't support 125 yet anyway. So we're okay for now, and I'm sure that that team is aware.
yeah, just wanted to bring it up.
Yep.
And what of these were currently blocked on the MSI occupier validation? What's the next step? Like, should we wait for some to come back? What do people feel?
I mean, it sounded like, I mean, maybe there's some things we can try to make it work or to fix it, maybe. Is that right or not really?
Yeah, so I can try the audit everything that Eric was saying and see if that's YouTube. And if we don't have luck there. But yeah, I'll give that a thought.
Okay. Okay, yeah, I guess it's just a question of, do we want to wait till next week? If we can't, that doesn't fix it or not. I think there was a good point made of like, well, that's a new functionality we're adding. People with have no ducks and can't use it. It's not the best. I don't know.
Or if they want to try it out, we don't have.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the alternative would be to just release and then do another release after, shortly after, if we wanted to fix something like a point release, but I'm open. We don't have anything super pressing right now. So, I mean, how long do you think, roughly the parallel execution work, do you think you need to have something there ready? Roughly?
Maybe be done by next week, hopefully.
Okay. Okay.
Barring any block.
Okay.
Will we be able to add on the parallel, like at least parallel verify, like
We can add a test on that front. That's gonna be.
Yeah, maybe I would just do that as a separate PR, because there's a bunch of other obviously work we have in the backlog to do to round up and then testing, right? So just throw that in the mix. Maybe do it first, since your brain is fresh on the parallel execution mode after you merge it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
everything on the agenda. Anyone else have-
I went to go merge the Dependabot PR, and then because I foolishly merged the older one, not the newer one, then it had a merge conflict. So that's kind of a bummer, but yeah.
463 days. Active in the bottom base.
I feel like sometimes
Oh, is it?
days don't
Okay.
resolve the conflict.
What is it? At Dependabot.
They actually read the comment.
What's,
Yeah, it'll explain like the.
Is there a rebase?
oh, Dependabot will resolve conflicts on this PR. Okay, maybe it's fixed now. Okay, sweet. Okay, yeah, I think it did fix itself. Cool. Okay. Never mind.
We'll just need a summary.
My review. Merge it. Yeah, I think it's okay. I mean, if Eric wants, do you want to try and get your change in? And maybe Akash gets his change in, and then hopefully we can fix the MSI thing. We can do a release. Unless you try what you fixes and then fix it, then that's fine. We just cut it down. Okay.
To everyone. Everyone. Take care.
Take care.
Thanks, everyone.
All right. Bye.